do, what it do, fam? Welcome to another intentional conversations.
Conversations.
Yo, bro, I just twanged it. Conversations.
It's that UK, bro.
It's that UK, bro.
It's that UK.
It's that Mundub.
Welcome
you know, I'm
back,
in it,
man.
mate. I'm in it, bruv.
In it.
I'm in it, bruv. I'm in it, bruv.
In it.
Yeah, I'm back in South Africa and all, you know. Back to the motherland.
Welcome back, bro.
Bro, there's no place like home.
Do the people know you were away for a while?
I was away a couple of months, you know. I wish my accent changed, you know.
Bro,
it would have been so
you should have
nice.
come back with an accent.
I think I worked very hard to try, you know, keep to my people.
Yeah.
I must keep to my people.
You know,
how to say? I must keep to my people.
There's people who go away like 1 month, they come back.
Bro, and they've got it.
And you're just wondering,
And they got it, ne?
in what world? How?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You should have just come back, bro. The podcast, the people were watching.
Maybe
probably
people would have listened to us
more, bro.
if I had the accent.
Of course.
You know what? But there's no place like the motherland. There's no place like home. And it's actually, I did that podcast in our little room.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, I was not ready.
But you did so well, bro.
Yeah, I know, but it was a bit boring.
No, what you mean?
Because
No,
you're
it
just
wasn't.
kind of sitting alone speaking to this invisible
You
camera.
missed me, bro. Tell them.
And I missed you. I missed
you.
home, you know. We're out here, undobs as here.
Yeah.
So there's something that me and you have been thinking through. But before we jump into that, our first podcast of the year, we spoke about making a success of 2021.
Ish. Is that what we spoke about,
We
bro?
spoke about that. And 2021...
Ooh, but was that before or after COVID?
It was during COVID,
was during- oh, yeah,
bro.
yeah.
It was during COVID.
Oh, we were so ambitious, bro. What?
We were, I feel like we were a bit too ambitious. We in the second
Half.
phase, second half of the year. We and a lot of people had expectations for 2021 because obviously 2020 was just like a shell shock. And then how are you feeling about the year? I mean,
Second half, feeling hopeful. I feel like this thing should end. Like lockdown. Okay, in South Africa, we're in lockdown right now. If somebody's watching from somewhere else, or level 5, and I'm just like, guys, is this just gonna be our life now? You know what I'm saying? And I can't. I'm still in my head. I'm just like, it's gonna end. They're gonna stop. Something's gonna happen. But like, you just, you know.
you survived. You haven't had COVID?
No, I have not. By the grace of God, no.
Yeah.
Many people around me have, though.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think you haven't had it? You can brag.
Nah, I was gonna actually say something else, but no. The grace of God, bro. The grace of God.
That's when you know you're trying to be a bit more palatable. What's the right word?
No,
Palatable.
so I was gonna actually talk about like vaccine. I was like, we don't want to go in there, but it might actually come into our talk today.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling, bro?
There's a lot of thoughts and talk about the vaccine. I followed the conversation whilst I was away.
Polarizing.
And it was a bit. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
How are you feeling about the year?
I think the year's been cool, man. I think I'm feeling like there's a lot of like social anxiety at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think we and everyone else came into the year with this heightened expectation of what things could be like. And then 2021 just kind of flipped its head over, and it's our worst nightmare in the sense of it's somehow very similar to how and what went down in 2020.
Bro, 2020 part 2.
It's like a 2020 part 2. And people thought 2021, you know, new decade, new vibes, it's the first year, and then bam. So I think that's what I'm sensing. There's a lot of kind of social anxiety. And I think we all are trying to still recover to some degree to 2021.
Yeah.
Another thing that's been a bit sad is that there's been a lot more deaths.
Hey, bro, 2021.
In 2021. We thought that 2020 was like
Bad.
the worst of it. And then 2021, it's like, you know, there's news every week, sometimes every day of people who are sort of passing away. So that's been a bit hard. But on a positive side, what do you think you've done well in this last 6 months?
Good question, bro. You should have told me you're going to ask that, because then I could have come with a prepared saint type answer. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
You got to give that Christian answer.
Tell us, you've been doing your quiet times for the last 6 months,
I've been in that quiet time. No, I think for me, it's been kind of finding some type of rhythm in the craziness, right? Which usually, like when things are not going well, then all my rhythms go out the window, right? And I've found little ones that are been like, okay, this is cool. I guess, like, bro, we're making fun of jokes about quiet time, but like devotion's been one of those, right?
Cool.
But there's other little ones, right?
Cool.
Before this two-week lockdown, brother was hitting the gym, you know what I'm saying? And that was helpful in my you always talk about your mind,
for your health,
and so that's been a good thing, like the rhythms that I've been able to maintain. And you?
Favorite books you read?
Hey. Book reading is one of those things as well. But favorite books, emotional health.
Spiritual leadership or something?
No, emotional. I will tell you, but it's emotional.
Peter
Scazzero.
Yeah.
That book is I'm still actually not finished with it, but it's one of those. Should I say the Bible first? Should I say the Bible? You know.
No need.
You know, the Christians. No, you gotta give them. But so that one and Macaulay.
Reading While Black.
I think that's been a really good book.
Fire book.
Yeah.
Esau, that book by Esau, I finished it last year. I feel like it's a book that you need to be reading all the time. For me,
stay woke.
It's like it was somehow refreshing to hear that perspective from an academic level, and somehow open my mind to more and new possibilities. Because I feel like I've been taught biblical interpretation only through one lens, yet I knew there was this existing lens, but I felt like I was doing sometimes the text a disservice, because all the books and the stuff that I'm reading and hearing is giving me another perspective. So that was a good thing. Yeah. So I think for me, book wise was 2020 and before. I was reading a lot of South African books. I was buying and consuming a lot of South African books. So this year I couldn't, because I was in
UK.
I was in the UK, and I read too many. I read books that I can remember because I was studying.
You had to, because you had to. Yeah.
So there is a difference between reading because you need to,
because you want,
or reading because you like. So,
was there any that you really enjoyed?
I actually really enjoyed. It's my really first time studying and reading C.S. Lewis.
Oh wow, that's the guy. By the way, I should have mentioned that book. I read that book too.
So I mean, people always speak about him. People always speak about him. I read Mere Christianity. I read the one about suffering and
problem with pain or something.
And which other one did I like? But to be honest,
read a couple.
But to be honest, I was not just reading it for the information, but his style of writing and engaging with the audience actually brings into our conversation today.
Let's go.
We're speaking about nuance and tensions.
Yes.
That's one thing I look for when I read or when I listen to someone.
Sure.
The power of nuance and the power of tension, especially in our personal walk, in how the things we believe about the world, but also in especially how we approach the Bible. Telling you just a little bit of my story, and I'd love to hear yours, was I grew up in charismatic Pentecostal church and background, absolutely loved it. When I started thinking and having questions myself, I started to regard the tradition that I feel like somehow molded and shaped me. And I went more into the more kind of systematic, more academic kind of theology. you're trying to find bolts where they shouldn't be.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, totally.
You're trying to tighten things that shouldn't be tight,
Yeah.
just for the sake that you can sound a lot more spiritual and you feel like you were a lot more academic, you're more rigid. And I think that made me push away my beliefs that I grew up knowing of, even if I didn't believe it, but I knew it.
Yeah.
And it's brought me to a place where at the moment I feel like I'm a mixed veg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
There's
totally.
a bit of this, there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of this, and there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of that, because of my upbringing, things that I've seen, and how I view the world. I don't feel like only one lens is the only lens that we use to view scripture, but also just view the world.
Yeah.
People speak about having a biblical mindset, and I'm like, you can have a million biblical mindsets because it's about how you interpret the Bible. And when you come to interpreting the Bible, you are coming with your lens already that has been there because of your lived reality.
Yeah.
That's in just how you view everything, from culture to the world to politics. We all don't land on the page. We all don't land on the same page. We can't, because we all have different experiences. But obviously, nuance and tensions is something that we all struggle with.
Do we all struggle, bro? 'Cause I feel some of us do a better job at it, bro. Like, to be honest, like my journey, I won't, maybe before I get into like my background with that question, I feel like some of us are better with nuance than others.
Yeah.
I feel, me personally, I think you probably have said this in the podcast before, like black and white, right? As a person. Now, I'm not talking theology, I'm not talking any of that, as a person. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, part of that is because it's easy. That's easy. It's the easy way out, bro.
It's easy just to go this one route and then you just kind of stay there.
It's the easy. When it's like that, it's easy. It's like in a box. It's like, oh, this person goes to this church, therefore, boom, it's easy, right? But
so that's where my mind is at, Marv, where I feel like we somehow our understanding of the world and even our understanding of the scriptures and the Bible is passed down to us. Not in its entirety. But somehow it's passed down to us. It's very similar to culture.
Yes.
In my family, my parents believe, or my family believes specific things about specific cultures, about our cultural stuff. Ne? So now when I intersect and I speak about culture, I am speaking about it because of what my parents have taught me and what they have come to know and perceive of it, right? Somehow that conversation goes uninterrogated.
Facts. Yeah.
Because this is how we did it. This is how I perceived it.
Easy.
So this is what I do. And so actually then when our perspectives around the world and then also our perspectives around theology, we need to also realize that this has been passed down to us.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
And so we can't handle tensions or even interrogate and speak about it because somehow we feel like we are offending the people who have brought it to us. We also struggle with it because if I've been brought up in a specific way, if you're bringing in another thing, it means like now I've got to do things a totally different way. And so that's scary because it's not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And that's hard. You know what I'm saying? And so I find for me, like that's where the biggest tussle comes in. But people always think they land onto these things with a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, it's...
Are you talking specifically theology, right?
And life.
Or life. Okay.
And life. And like how...
And no one does that.
How you do your perceptions around the world. Let's leave theology on the side. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Your perceptions around how to do the... Like, let's say there was this thing before I got married that they say sons marry their mothers to some degree. Ne? They say that.
Yeah.
Now I don't fully agree with that. I think there's some truth in that. But I think there's this thing of like, how you've been brought up, the things that you value as good. Sometimes it's not because of what you verbally said, but it's because of what you've seen and what you've lived out.
Yeah.
Our formation as people is not just our information. Come on.
Hey,
I feel like people, come
say
on.
that again, bro.
Come on,
say that again, bro. Say that again. Say that again.
Like
Our formation.
For real, our formation as people is not just the information we get.
Yeah.
So how we get brought up in the things that we know is not just what people have said, what we have read, what we have watched, but it's how we've lived.
Yeah.
You are what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
And so now the decisions that you make and even how you view the world, no matter how much you want to disassociate with that teaching, somehow will influence how you live and you do your life, especially if you don't honestly interrogate all of that stuff, So how we view life, how we view culture, how we view religion, how we view relationships has been influenced by something, and we somehow need to be truthful about what has influenced that and how does that help or how does that shape my thinking about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the exact same way around theology.
Hey, bro. So what's interesting, before we even get the theology thing, is like I was thinking about the COVID time and where we at right now and just how polarizing the situations are. That's why I was talking about the vaccine thing. So recently, so somebody in social media, I guess, you just see it. You just see how people want right or left, right?
Yeah.
So somebody says something about like, hey, let's open up the church, and go for it. I forget what the government says. Marvin, as sometimes he does, goes into the comment section. He's like, hey, look, relax, like here's some Bible, right?
Yeah.
Bro, there's like a Romans 13, Romans 13, right? Romans 13.
Yeah.
And this, and like, yo, let's be nuanced here with this thing. Let's not just, right? The reply was this: no, you're just saying that because you're scared. And it was interesting because I was like, oh, you just put me with the scared people. I'm like, bro, like sometimes I forget my mask at home. I don't have that fear right now, right?
Yeah.
But he threw me that way, right?
Exactly.
And then I realized like, oh, okay, so there's two camps here. If you are saying, hey, let's meet up for church and whatever, you are super radical, You're
not scared.
Or you're scared.
You believe in the power of God.
You have faith and then like you are not scared, and or you're scared and the other, right? So there's almost like two camps. I didn't know there was those two camps until I commented there. I was like, oh, I see. So he's gonna throw me that way, right? And I told him, no, actually, I'm with you, bro. I would be one of those guys. Let's go. But I do know, look, there's a nuance here, right?
But speaking about church and the whole lockdown thing, me and you had a very long conversation about not this lockdown, the previous one, around how churches were dealt with, and you were very radical.
I was at the time,
You were at the time. What's changed?
I think time. I think I've had some time to think and listen to different perspectives, right? And I think in this conversation of nuance, I think listening sometimes, and I guess listening and thinking about this stuff for yourself, right? Because I can listen to you all I want, and if I've made up my mind, it's not gonna, and I'm saying it's not gonna do anything, but like listening and trying to think, okay, whatever this person is saying, the opposite view, this is giving them like, because I actually wrote down some pointers on thinking about nuance and how to be more, or to, because for me, bro, the theology stuff, no, we can talk about that, but for me, it's about people.
Yeah.
Right? Like if Lux has an opposing view, for me, not to I want to say demonize, but not criminalize.
But that's true, bro.
Right?
Because if me and you I don't believe the same thing, no matter how much we do it in love, you are the wrong camp and we are the right camp.
Oh, bro.
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
I'm really...
And no matter what we use for the wrong camp, it's like we warn against that. Yeah. Don't be like this. Don't do that.
Or we caricature, make like, you know what I'm saying? Like you might not say like really bad, but you might be like, those people are like this, right? And kind of like dismiss it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my rub really comes in, because I'm learning like, yo, bro, some of these like, when you choose a camp, that means this person stops being a person and becomes this thought or this thing that you disagree with.
Come on, bro.
Right?
Because people are not what they believe.
Bro.
People are not their beliefs.
Bro.
They are not even what they do.
think about Jesus, bro. Now we're gonna go to Jesus, bro.
Bro.
Some of those people, like I think about the Samaritan woman.
Yeah.
Like he had no business talking to that lady in cultural norms.
Yeah.
But he made sure he went the way around to the what's the name? He could have taken a shortcut, but he went just to go meet her and talk and given her the time
and knowing what all the different people, what people would think about him.
Bro.
And knowing what people would think about him.
A man, a rabbi, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's the beautiful thing about Jesus for me, is that he wasn't controlled by a system.
Oh, dude.
And not system in terms of a structure, but he wasn't controlled by a system of thought. In the sense of
the Pharisees.
Yeah. It's not. But even like within Christians, like we speak so bad about Pharisees, but we create, and we have through church history create systems of thought or theologies. And so it's like, if you belong in this theological camp, you can't listen and do what is happening in this theological camp. Like people still ask me still today, like, what are you? Like, what denomination and what? And I'm like, bro, like, give me TD Jakes any day, bro. And you give it and then give me some.
And then give me MacArthur at the same time.
No, well.
All I'm saying, bro, it comes down to...
Give me some heavily academic theologian and I will still love and listen and read them. You know, met N.T. Wright the other time. Was it... Two or 3 weeks ago, and he's as heady as anything. He gave me advice. He said, when I was your age, I read the Bible in Greek, full on. And I was like, oh Jesus.
You're like, nope.
I'm like, oh Jesus.
I'm done.
I'm still trying to read my Bible in Xhosa, bro. Yeah, in Greek.
Yeah,
but it's like you can be nuanced. You don't have to fall into one system of thought, because sometimes I think if you do, you fall in danger for two things. I think you mentioned the first one. I'd love for us to tackle that one. You demonize.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is that you do not see the shortfalls of that specific line of thought because you are so in love with it that you can't see what is not wrong, but what you could be...
The blind spots.
What you could be doing better. Because you are so trapped into it and you're just so in love with it that whenever somebody brings in a specific objection, you push it away.
Yeah.
Because this thing is right. And what I find with that, Marv, is that when people leave one system of thought that they think is bad and come to one system of thought or even a theology or a camp that is good, they start to put this in a pedestal where it shouldn't be, and they start to demonize any and everything else that is not this. So that means they only listen, they only do everything that compiles to, that comes into this group. And I'm like, well, that's dangerous.
Bro, and I don't even think, do you think that's just a Christian thing or is it a people thing?
I think
when you like throw almost the baby out of the bathwater kind of vibe, because I know in the Christian circles there's I think it's called cage stage or something, right? So it's when you come from this.
Well, let's talk about it in politics.
Yeah,
let's talk about it in politics.
It's a people thing.
Like let's say when you were back in varsity, you are either PAC or you are ANC. What was the I even forgot. Sasco, yeah. And then obviously there was our people at TA, you know? And it's like, and there was a complete grouping within those three groups that I saw. You couldn't be friends with people from another group because they didn't believe the exact same things that they believed about it. I joined a Twitter space the other day and they were speaking about Christianity and the liberation of African people. And what they are saying at that point is that the liberation of black people is first and foremost. So you can't be for the liberation and the economic liberation of black people and still be trapped to Christianity.
Oh my word.
Right? Yeah. And for me, I understood
why.
I understood that and I understand why. But that's because like for them, it's either this, because this is perfect and right. And so because this is perfect and right, don't go to anything else because it will always fall short to what this is. And then I'm like, but...
And so, exactly.
But I'm like, bro, like, you can't you have both?
Yeah. Weren't they Christians when they were fighting for liberation? I was like,
But even that, I think that's a very weak argument.
No, what I'm saying.
Sometimes.
No, wait, like this, right? So because when they polarize like that, they say, right? So you can't be that. You must be this only.
Yeah.
But if you think about history, let's talk history and like the politics and people doing whatever, right?
Sure.
There was always Christians in these circles.
Always Christians, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You ask somebody like what, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to like when they're talking, then the Christians always like, oh, no, you can't do that and be this. But we've always been both. If you think about it.
Yeah,
right? In this talk.
There was a song that Shobaraka did, and he said, maybe it is both. Maybe it's not
that's
just
what we're
one,
talking about, bro.
But maybe, and he says, I love the word maybe, because it's giving both me and you the opportunity to think.
Yeah.
Because it's maybe it is both.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because it doesn't say it has to be both. Because some things...
it's always...
It's always both. Because some things are not. There are some things, and I'm much on the same page as you. There are some things that are black and white, and what I personally believe in.
Yeah.
And, it's not a both and or. For me, it's that.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the dangers, Marv, is we become so open-minded in this nuance that we end up...
Not having convictions.
No convictions at all. And everything is airy-fairy. And I'm finding this a lot.
I was going to ask you a question on this just now.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Like with the with the CRT thing.
Yeah.
So it's an actual, people study this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
critical race theory.
Whatever, I won't get into it. But yes, critical race theory for those who don't know. But like, do you think that you can be a Christian and still have some of those things that critical race theory holds on to? Talking about this nuance and being clouded and now you don't have convictions.
I really think so, and I think
is there good things in it?
There are very good things, and I think the beautiful thing about CRT is that. I mean, I want to spend a lot more time engaging with it, because here's the thing: I was studying with some students who come from America, because I only just heard CRT.
Bro, we don't know nothing.
I didn't know, and so now I was dealing with people who are telling me some very horror stories of stuff that they've seen, stuff that they've heard, based on their context, And I also understand the political climate that America came from. Bro. So I know there was a whole lot of that around some of the politics that were happening in America at that time. And I just said, you know what? Firstly, you can't say we undermine CRT because it's not a biblical concept. I'm saying because there are many concepts and many things that you do that are not in the Bible. That you do not oppose, but you say God gave people free will and God gave people creativity to do. And so we take things and we use them for the glory of God. Yeah. Where it's valuable to us, we use it. Where it's valuable for us, we don't use it. And I brought a very simple example. When we made hip-hop music, people said, hip-hop music is bad. It's making people burn. It's making people smoke drugs. It's making people leave school. It's undermining of our women. Yeah. And it's a tool that the devil uses to blind black people.
It's from the devil.
Because they're saying, no, white people say they don't listen to hip-hop. And then I was like, but they listen to, But anyway, that's not...
Black metal, death metal.
But what I was saying is that this is a tool. Where it's good... Let's accept and endorse that. Where it's bad, let's shun away from it. I look at it in that in that same way.
Yeah. So I know when I started hearing the CRT, I was distancing myself like crazy, right?
Yeah.
I still don't know much about it. Like I can't say like I'm a scholar now, but I've checked it out, and there's Christians in that space who are scholars, but they're Christians, and they've pointed out some good things that it's a framework or whatever, like some good things that are in it, and they're like, hey, you can actually, because they parallel with some of the Christian beliefs and things that are in the Word, right? And so that's just like
But
a sidebar. I just wanted just to touch on it.
I also understand why people are starting to speak about it now, because it's a concept that's been there for a while.
Yeah,
I understand why, because of the political climate that happened, Black Lives Matter and everything that shot up. And I know that's not the only time it did, but that's when it started gaining a lot more traction. And number two was that people were trying to solve this issue and trying to speak about the issues that we haven't been verbally, but then also that's the whole thing I said to you. Like, people get so open-minded that they end up having no sort of foundation and base. Yeah. And so I understand when people start getting into issues of justice, sometimes they end up leaving the faith or having more questions about the faith. Yeah. And then people said, the problem is this thing. And I'm like, bro, I know a lot of people that are engaging with issues of race and engaging with issues of justice that still have their faith. But number two, there are many things that make people leave the faith, but we don't say we don't demonize it. You know what I'm saying? We don't demonize it. We try to find the good in it and we work around it. But I think for me, is saying I understand why it's such an issue for people and in Christian circles, where sometimes even talking about race at the moment is a bit.
Yeah. No,
it's a bit tricky when it shouldn't.
It's a thing.
I want to speak about thing as we try come to an end is demonizing of people because they hold different views and different thoughts and beliefs. What's a way around that? Because I think our heart is, we're not just, I'm not trying to say, let's have tensions for the sake of having tensions. Yeah. I'm saying, let's have tensions for the sake of loving people and knowing them fully. Because the thing is, people that find it hard to hold tensions end up having friends and acquaintances that only believe what they believe. Yeah. Because if you chill with people that don't believe what you do, then you get ranked lower.
Bro, the danger with that, right? With all that you've just said is that how do you love people and love God, right?
Yeah.
God, like the word does not say love the ones that believe. We're in a home group recently. Sorry, this might be a sidebar, but it was talking about like forgiveness, and we got to this passage that talks about loving your enemies. And I was like, bro, I struggle loving my friends sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But now Jesus' stand is like, love your enemies. Yeah. Now you are drawing lines and theological lines or like
cultural lines
or
scientific,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's hard lines that you're drawing. How are you going to love that person? God expects you to love your enemy anyway. So this is the problem, right? With not having nuances, not seeing Lux and knowing Lux is Luxolo, bro. Luxolo is a person. He's a person and he's different, right? And just because me and you could have the legacy top on, but have various different views. Right? And I can't say because you got legacy top on. It
must be allowed.
You know what I'm saying? And it should be fine, right?
It should be fine.
So to answer your question, bro, I kind of had like a couple points of just how to grow in this thing.
Please,
a couple points, right?
Tell us.
And I was like, okay, for if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, I think reading the Bible in large sections instead of just passages,
verses,
right?
Yeah.
For context, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this with like this COVID thing again, and thinking about how Daniel in Babylon and how he moved in that space, right? Babylon is this place where basically his beliefs are, and Babylon is his country, but he moved this very specific way, right? Wow. Listening, right? But listening
to what?
Okay, we'll get there, but like listening with the intent of actually, if there's value there, to actually appropriate the value and not listen. Because nowadays, like, oh no, listen. But bro, I could listen and I don't care anything you're talking to me about. I'm not gonna apply it. I'm not gonna think about it, right? And then assume the best in other people first.
Ooh, bro, that's number one for me.
Right?
Assume the best, bro.
Talk on that, bro.
Yo, bro, I just feel like, bro, even people that I disagree with, I really struggle to assume the best.
Right? It would just change everything, bro.
I jump to the most negative. I'm like, Lord Jesus, not another coconut, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, I'm very bad. I'm very bad at this. And this is something I've also just been trying to massage into my own heart that I've been saying is that people are not their beliefs.
Bro.
And I must love you purely because you're made by God. You are a human being made in the image of God. And whether I disagree with you, I land on the same page as you, I must love you.
Bro.
And I think if I love you best, it changes how I live my life.
Facts.
It changes everything.
Facts, bro. Facts. And then this one, I think this is kind of read actively different views or engage, let me say, instead of read. Just somebody who you disagree with, right? If you're already coming into the conversation or this person and you believe in the best in them, and then you coming into it, right? You'll be open.
Yeah.
But then it's a different view, but just engage in it. I think it helps. It helped me, right? I think I think you were very good with that, bro. I think you do for like
I was trying with you.
No, but
I was just knocking into you.
I think that's it. And the last one is love people. But like that's what Jesus wants us to do. And it's hard when you're drawing hard lines, when you black and white. And I'm saying, and yes, again, I think you mentioned this. We're not saying there isn't convictions and there isn't black and whites. We're just saying we can do better with tensions and nuance, right?
And it would be nice more than reading, because that's not everyone is a reader.
Engage.
But if you read and you engage things, but I think also the one thing that will form you, not just inform you, are the people that are in your life. You can't just have people that all agree with you politically, theologically.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't grow. You don't end up being in this echo chamber,
bro.
You know, and it's like
you're hearing yourself.
Ferociously try get people that you do not
you have to
agree with. And you are not on the same page as, and just try to love them and be around them. Bro. And I think for me, that's the whole thing around holding tensions, is the fact that I want to love Marvin when I disagree with Marvin. Guys, 90% of my conversations with Marvin, we disagree. Yo.
They don't know this, bro.
Bro. How I knew that you were going to be a good friend was the fact that we argued very well. And we argued about everything. Back and forth.
You don't know this.
Back and forth. We'd have like a meeting with the guys and Marvin would just go back.
And what's interesting, you almost similar, bro, because I sometimes I process verbally and I'll say some dumb stuff sometimes, right?
Sure.
Or I'll say stuff that I haven't thought through completely, and then you bring the balance. I'm like, oh yes, I like that, right? Because I didn't, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so because sometimes I'll talk and I'm thinking, and so sometimes people will take that as an argument. But you were able to see, no, it's a discussion point. Like, let's discuss this out, you know? And I think, again, you don't grow if you're hearing yourself, bro.
You do, right? Or people that affirm you at every step,
but that's
every
hearing
level.
Yourself, bro. Because it's just going back and forth, like, or the Hebrew says this, I also take that, so that's cool. And then it goes back and forth.
And we only grow the moment we are stretched.
Bro.
So, guys, thank you so much for listening to this specific episode of the Intentional Conversations podcast. Make sure that you subscribe, leave a review, give us some stars where you can, and share this with a couple of your friends. From myself, Luxolo and some might know me as Lux Kent, and Mr. Marvin Kimani himself, the man with the beard. We say bye.
Peace. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching or listening to our podcast. Why don't you consider just helping us do this more, create content to help people live a life outside of themselves. You can do that by following us on social media, YouTube, all those good things. But specifically consider going on our Patreon and supporting us financially so we can grow the movement, so we can help more people just live for God and live better lives. Thank you.